Episode 1, Take 18, get it f***ing right this time. Hello everybody and welcome to the very first episode of the Warm Intro. So, today we have a very special guest to kick this series off. Before I bring him out, I want to tell you a little bit about this person. This person founded Touchtech Payments, an online authentication company that was recently acquired by Stripe. He started the company when he was only 19 years old in 2014, and altogether they've raised 1.8 million euros for the company. He's also a fantastic musician and pianist for the Dublin R&B band Super Silly. So please, join me in welcoming Shekinah Adewumi to the stage. What's up, man? How are you?
Can you sit down anywhere?
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is our first one, so I don't know how we're gonna do this.
Quite a distance between us.
Yeah, we can.
Is there like etiquette to how I sit down? No. Okay.
Yeah, we couldn't find any other sofa, so this will have to do for now. All right. So first of all, yeah.
Okay.
I think that's perfect.
This?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. I'm gonna open this up a little bit.
Nice. Okay, cool. So if I put your name in Google, I see nothing but success stories. I want people to know a little bit about what they may not know about you from, doing a search online. Obviously, you guys are the talk of the town in a great way with Touchtech Payments. Mm-hmm. What's one thing that people may not necessarily know about you?
About me personally?
Yeah.
Wow, that's an interesting question. That was not on the list you sent me. I guess, so I started when I was 19, everyone was that, raised a few million. But the road to success wasn't necessarily straightforward. There was a lot of battles, disappointments, failures all along the way. That was painful, and I'm pretty sure I thought we were gonna go bust 5 times. So, well, don't you know, we probably failed more times than we succeeded, and the acquisition happened to be just one very fortunate success. Yeah.
And speaking of that, what was the one, I suppose, light bulb moment when you realized, you know what, this is exactly the kind of company I need to start right now?
The moment when I decided that this was the company I was going to start, I don't think I was knowledgeable enough to know why it was a good company to start. So the identification of the problem I chose to go after was probably fortune or luck on any part. But the moment I decided this is the one, is when I finally encountered a problem that was relatable enough and evidently unsolved. Mm-hmm. So one time I tapped my card off the back of my phone. I was like, oh, this is cool, it's interesting. I was like, imagine you could pay like this online. Imagine you didn't have to do all those authentication methods or all those one-time password or remembering your password. And I could just easily just tap and pay. And I was like, that'd be cool. And I'd never seen it before. So it was in that moment where I saw this is a relatable problem that I know enough people have, and it was relatively unsolved at that point, that I said, yeah, I'm going to do this.
Were there any competitors when you were starting out that you were aware of?
There were definitely competitors. I was not aware of them. And if I was, I would not have done it. Uh-huh. No, there were definitely competitors, but like every other entrepreneur, I'm somewhat arrogant in my belief that my solution is better than everybody else's. So there are competitors, but then you're like, what's my USP, and then I'm going to drive that home, basically.
Mm-hmm. And you met your co-founder, Niall Hogan. Mm-hmm. You guys are both from Meath. How did you meet?
So I'd already raised 50,000 when I met him, and then after wasting a few thousand on new MacBooks and iPhones, I was like, let me actually put this money to good use.
Has to be done.
And I was like, let me get some engineering talent on board. So I put an ad in all the university Facebook pages for 4th years. And I was saying I was looking for interns or people willing to work. Interviewed maybe 15 to 20 people, and he was the only person that actually argued with me during his interview. I was like, well, look, we'll just solve this on Monday. you have a job. Yeah, so yeah, but he was a very, very smart guy. Like, he's taught me so much, but that's how we met on Facebook, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And it was the two of you, and then what happened next?
So it was three of us, but like that doesn't matter.
Okay.
And so it was us there, and then he came from Microsoft, and when he came from Microsoft, he brought 3 other people with him.
Okay.
And then one of my friends knew some other developers, and then we got 2 developers from that side, and we just started spending like, at that time it was actually just Tuesdays and Thursday evenings that we'd meet up and just brainstorm and decide, okay, how are we gonna move, what's our next product.
Literally 2 days a week.
Literally 2 days a week of like FaceTime, but like we were all, working at home. And then from that moment on, all we did actually was talk to clients and customers, well, potential clients, potential customers, to get a read of the market and what people wanted, and to make sure we're building the right things for that purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, like, were there any moments where you're like, wait a minute, I don't know if this is a big enough challenge, or I don't know if people are really ready to use something like that?
When you say big enough challenge, what do you mean? As in a big enough problem to fix?
A big enough problem for them to for example, use that technology, use that product.
Yeah. So we went after like Lloyd's, Barclays, AIB, Bank of Ireland, the big, perceivably big banks.
Yeah.
And what you will find out when you try and sell to those people is that they are very difficult to sell to. I mean, you're talking like it's a 2-year sales cycle. So like like how you stay motivated over 2 years talking to the same person trying to get a sale is draining. Mm-hmm. Trying to figure out how to really push the buttons, how to really get them to actually make a decision on, yeah, I'm gonna buy this, was the hardest bit, because like we kept trying out, yeah, what about this? And I'm like, yeah, well, we don't care. So initially we thought banks cared about fraud. We'll reduce your fraud by X%. They're like, yeah, we've accounted for fraud in our operational losses. We plan to lose about 250 million this year in fraud. So like, I don't care. So we're like, so you don't care about fraud. So how can I? Do you care about user experience? Do you care about it? And then eventually, the only reason we actually became in any way valuable to them was because the European Central Bank released a regulation that made us almost mandatory for everybody.
Wow.
So like, if it wasn't for that, regulatory push, it would have been game over for us, because we just did not know how to like articulate our value.
Because you had everything prepared, and it was just, I mean, would you call it luck? Would you call it? Did you still have to go back and convince them yet again after that regulation took place?
Then we encountered a different problem. So they all had the same problem, and then we're like, okay, now I know you definitely have to buy. And then we're like, yeah, we're not gonna buy off you though. The problem at that point was, you're too small, you're too risky. So we have more cards than you've ever seen. How do I know your system is gonna fall apart? I can't entrust, half the country's cards on you.
We have more cards than you've ever seen.
Yeah. No, I can't just have the country's cards in your care, and that's like people like AIB, Bank of Ireland, who control 80-90% of the market. So then my next problem was like, okay, I don't have a brand in the market. I'm not trusted enough to handle this. So then we had to like find who will buy off us and who will actually take the risk on the company. Eventually we got N26 and Revolut, and like, between N26 and Revolut, we have more cards than AIB and Bank of Ireland combined, like right now. So I mean, like, you should definitely buy off us, by the way, because like, we're amazing. So eventually we're getting to that stage where we can sell to those kind of guys. But like, it was, as you can see from like the story I just told you, like it went from one problem being, I don't know how to articulate my message, and I don't know why they'd buy. Then I found exactly why they'd buy. Then like, okay, we want to buy, but not a few. And I was like, okay, so how do I buy? And then so it's like, it's problem after problem, trying to get to the promised land of a contract with Barclays or Lloyd's or one of those big guys.
Right.
So the rest of this conversation is going to be a series of my problems that I had to.
That's nuts. I mean, and you eventually ended up working with them?
No. No. I mean, they're so hard to like. I mean, I could now, because I have like the brand name of Stripe behind me, and now my balance sheet is, well, not my personal balance sheet, but like the Stripe balance sheet is big enough to like sue. So I could work with them now, but
that's a good way to measure it.
But prior to the acquisition, I was still too small. But we were on our way. We were definitely we finally understood our market by the time the acquisition came about, and we were on our way to be able to sell to them.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. And I mean, one of the things, so now taking it a bit back take us a bit back to when you were still building the company, when you were still in that process, were there, and it seems like there were multiple occasions, but was there any time when, you know, everything felt like you were genuinely hitting a wall and you really had to think of whether this is worth continuing or not, and if so, how even?
Yeah. I think every time we ran out of money, that was that was a problem. And like the first rule of startup life is don't run out of money.
Yep.
And God damn, we broke that rule a lot.
Happened more than once?
Oh God, yeah. But like, you know, we came out. I remember there was this one day salaries were due tomorrow, and like we were already late on salaries maybe like the month before, and I was like, if I'm late again this month, these people are not gonna like me. And I was like, oh, salaries due tomorrow. I'm calling now. I was like, now what are we gonna do? And I was like, fix it. I just said, fix it.
That was the day before.
Day before, or what was like maybe 11 p.m. at night. I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna do here? I remember I was like, I thought to myself, I'm gonna make 3 calls. One of them gave me money. I called one and he was just trying to shit. I was like, probably shouldn't. Yeah, he was just trying to shit to me. I was like, look, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry I called you. You know, it's 11 o'clock. I do need, you know, 25,000 euro, but whatever. Made another call. I managed to get the money. Well, but it's moments like that was like just craziness. But that happened so many. Like I think we raised the 50,000 in September 2014. We ran out of money in January, February 2015. And I remember our co-founder, one of the co-founders at the time, called me and he said, "We're out of money. We need money right now." And I said to him, "What did Niall say?" He said, "I called Niall, and Niall said, Niall said, don't call me back until you fix the problem." I was like, "So why are you calling me? Go fix the problem." But you know, so yeah, it was just moments like that. And then because we were relying so heavily on the regulation as our selling point, there was a point where the European Bank kind of like changed the narrative. It wasn't exactly what we thought it was going to be, and because, you know, banks spend millions lobbying them, trying to say, no, change it a little bit. They changed the narrative completely, and like I remember, I stayed at home for like 2 days, 3 days. I was just depressed. I was like, oh my God, we're gonna go bust. It's not gonna work out. Everyone's gonna hate me. I'm gonna owe these investors hundreds of thousands, you know, at that time. But just moments like that where it's just like run out of money. Regulation smacks you in the face, especially when we're relying on it so heavily.
Yeah, and I mean, like, what do you tell yourself? Because even as a founder, I'm thinking like, what can someone possibly tell themselves like that to keep themselves in the game? Like,
at a certain three things in my head. One, generally I believe like everything's work-outable. There are very few problems in this life that I don't think I can solve. You know, the arrogance of entrepreneurship. But like, there's very few things there's very few things in life that I'm like, this is unsolvable. Yeah. Everything's workable. So it's just, you know, finding the best way to, you know, either mitigate it from happening again or overcoming it in that moment. Yeah. So general confidence helps. Yeah. 2.
Even when, let me ask you about that. Like, even when a small, I don't know if that's the case, but even when a small part of you thinks, I don't even know if that's going to work or not.
See, think of when I had to like basically get salaries overnight. I didn't want to call any of my existing investors because that's hard enough. They were like, what's wrong with you? How dare you run out of money? And then, but there's so many people with money that are willing to invest. It's not like I couldn't have gotten money. I could get the money. Yeah. It's just I had decided that these are the terms under which I was willing to accept the money. So like, worst case scenario, I take the money like for like at a shift valuation, just to plug in. But you know, I just had like, you know, I had you know, a rule set under conditions under which I take money off someone. Yep. So like, there's always a way out. So nothing's like really impossible. Yeah. Unless like, you know, you're delusional. But like, I don't think we had created Novalia at that time for me to like, you know, validate all my opinions. Right. So even then,
even going in with that mindset, like you were saying, I mean, you know, not finding a solution is not an option. Like,
yeah, not finding a solution is not an option. Like, it is not. I remember when we first started the company, we applied to like all the accelerators in Dublin. You start Launchbox, none of them accepted us. But I already had like a team of engineers who I had told we're going to be in these programs and you're going to get paid and you're going to get free accommodation because it comes with the program. And I'm like, okay, now we're not in it. How do I keep them motivated? How do I get them to stay? Because you can only sell the pipe dream of, you know, exposure and, you know, good stock for so long because the stock has to be worth something.
Yep.
So I remember in 2014 summer, leading up to the summer, I asked Trinity, I was like, I'm not in the program, but just give me a desk so I can tell the boys I'm actually in the program. And they were like, okay. So like I didn't get any. Yeah, it worked. I didn't get any of the benefits. I didn't get the funding. I didn't get any. I had the space, but I was there every day. And then the engineers I hired, I just told them, yeah, I was a little bit wrong. Actually, not. What I told them was, I was meant to go to the U-Start one, but I went to the Launchbox one, and the Launchbox doesn't come with accommodation or payments. I'm sorry, but don't worry, we'll have something by the end of summer. Yeah. So I'd made it. Another problem is that by the end of the summer, I'll raise more money. Luckily, I did, but you know, it was just you know. Yeah. Just there's always ways out of it. This kind of sounds like just make up lies. But no. Tell stories that will be true, and is within your remit to make true.
Yeah. Which reminds me of a book that you and I were talking about around, which is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Mm-hmm. Tell us a bit about that book for someone who's never heard of it before.
That was like the second book I embarked on that kind of like shaped my persona today.
Okay.
I read it when I was like maybe 17, and I think I said this before, but the only point in that book was like successful people have unwavering faith in themselves. And at the beginning of the book it says, once you catch the drift, stop reading the book because you're good. And reading that book, we just went through like Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, and the invention of the light bulb and all those things. And that book just influenced I think it was the first time I had like a fundamental shift in my perception of life and like philosophy on how things worked and how I should approach everything from that moment. So it just gave me a lot of, it felt like it gave me license to believe in myself more than anything else. That's
Makes sense. One of the things that, one of the stories I guess that I wanted you to tell us a little bit about is, I know that in the end of, towards the end of 2017, you guys had a staff of around 16 people. Mm-hmm. From the year before, and it was reduced to around 11 people. And I wanted to know what the story was like, what the story was around that time, and what was going through your mind during that period.
Oh, that was a fun story. That was a fun day. Actually, it wasn't fun that day, but it's fun to recollect. So I'll give you backstory, then I'll tell you the story.
Go for it.
So the biggest obstacle we faced in the journey was like overcoming the hump of ignorance. So Niall and myself had never started a business before. We had never sold in this industry before. We'd never even worked in this industry before. We just said, yeah, we're going to do this and it's going to work. So there was like a huge hump of ignorance. We didn't understand the market and how it worked. We didn't understand how to raise money. We didn't understand basic like management of people in general. I don't think we were necessarily like emotionally intelligent, so like we weren't empathetic with employees the way we should have been. So there were so many like humps of ignorance that work, and like our savings grace is like, our last 5 minutes of work is phenomenal. We'll do absolutely nothing, and in the final 5 minutes we're like, okay, we kind of have to fix this, and then we'll come up with like something crazy. And then two, we're super charismatic and we're super likable. So like it's hard to like be mad at me or mad at Niall. So like in the final, so in the final 5 minutes we'll always pull a rabbit out of the hat. But that's not necessarily sustainable or conducive to building a big scalable business. So over the period of time when we were raising a lot of cash and getting a lot of attention from the right people, we didn't have the right direction because we didn't know what the right direction was, and we weren't making the right decisions, which resulted in us like wasting money. We definitely wasted €1 million. We definitely wasted $1 million. 100%. We definitely missed it. Yeah, at least $1 million. We definitely, because like we raised a lot. Oh, I probably shouldn't see this on camera. Anyway, they all got paid, so it doesn't matter. I mean, so you raise all this money with no specific direction to it, and now we're doing all these things. We're like, is this the right thing to do? Yeah, let's try it out. 2 or 3 months, yeah, it's not working. Do something else. And then we're like jumping from idea to idea.
Because you won't know till you
yeah,
give
we
it a shot
don't.
at
Yeah,
least,
and then at the same time, we didn't realize that you're not going to sell to Barclays. So why waste the next 12 months of my 40, 80-hour weeks chasing Barclays and Lloyds when I could be chasing other people who would have given us income or brand earlier. So that was the first thing. The first thing was we didn't know our market. We didn't understand the client base that we were targeting. So we wasted a lot of time that we could have used to achieve something else, trying to achieve something we weren't going to achieve. So, and then every time we had like team meetings, we're like, yeah, we're targeting these guys, we're targeting these guys, we're talking to these guys. And out of nowhere, 6 months, 7 months later, the whole team finds out, yeah, well, Barclays didn't come through, but don't worry, it'll be great. So that's hard. So like they're hearing a vision that never comes to fruition because we never understood that vision was never possible in the manner that we were going after it. That's one. Two, we didn't know how to raise money. We never raised the Series. Oh, I'm talking really fast. Sorry. We never raised the Series A because we just didn't understand how to raise money and how to talk to investors, and also because everything we said would come to fruition based on last money we raised never happened because we did the wrong things and we gave ourselves the wrong targets. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I feel like entrepreneurship and the position
it's like
I'm
a
in.
domino kind of thing.
Entrepreneurship and the position I'm in is probably the only job you'll ever get in life where you decide your targets and people will judge you by the things you say you'll do. So it's not like not so much now where I work, but like the guys that work for me, I've decided targets. I'm like, this is what we're going to do. This is what you have to do. And like they come in after me telling them, this is what you have to do. They have not that they have no say, but like they have very little say in the targets I've set for them and the metrics by which I judge them. But like entrepreneurship is the only place where you can decide, these are my targets, these are the metrics of success and my KPIs, and this is how you're going to judge me, and this is what you're going to use to give me more money later. And like we just weren't aware of that, and we're setting ourselves unrealistic targets, making wrong narratives that kind of like messed us up for future money. How we managed to like consistently raise our valuation in that period of time is beyond me. It's beyond me. It's just again charismatic last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But like we were making those like silly mistakes around like creating the right narrative to raise more money, and also and then last of all, well not last of all, but like probably most important thing, we didn't understand the mathematics behind how VCs and investors work. I think I learned that lesson way too late, but way too late. So I remember, I think it was someone on the front line who actually sat us down and said, this is how it works. He said, basically, the VC needs to believe that you are 10x. I'm going to give you 100,000, and in 5 years' time, you're going to give me $1 million. For that to happen, they need to know that you understand and that they understand how companies in your industry are valued. Are valued.
It's so true, though. I mean, just to add to that quickly, I mean, there's a quote that I absolutely love by a guy called Ira Glass, and he says, "Great stories happen to those who can tell them."
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Which, and I think like that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So like you need to know how companies are. So like in our industry, it's 10x. So you make €1, your company's worth €10. Make €10, company's worth €100. So they need to believe that in 5 years' time, you'll achieve that 10x valuation. And if you're saying to them, I want a valuation of 1 million, give me 100 grand, they need to believe that in 5 years' time, they'll get a valuation of 10 million, and that means you're committed to making 1 million a year in that time period. And like we just didn't understand that mathematics, and we're asking for stupid valuations because everyone else is asking for stupid valuations, and we're putting projections or targets that didn't match up to that necessary 10x valuation in that time. And if I'm not using revenue as a metric, I have to use some sort of like user base as metrics, and we didn't know all that. We didn't look into that. There were so many.
But it didn't stop you though. Like,
it didn't stop us, but like, it was a huge, like in hindsight, it was a huge obstacle to overcome. How we did it, I don't know. We were just relentless. So then coming to 2017, after like 2 years, 3 years of it's gonna be great. We just raised more money, and then we're gonna achieve this. Okay, we didn't achieve it, but we raised more money though. and then we're not going to. And then I think it was in 2017 January. We realized, okay, we're spending too much money because we were we're spending cash for days. And they were like, okay, everybody cut everybody's salary. So everyone was earning like normal salaries, and then out of nowhere, it's like, I'm sorry, from February, your salary is now cut by like, I think the highest cut was like maybe 70%, like which is, like we all, it was communism. We all went on the same salary, no matter what you did.
Yeah.
And then like maybe like you have to do it. Austerity measures, and then maybe 4 or 5 months later, all the engineers were like, look, I love the story, but I've had enough. And then on this, the code name for this specific day is DevGate, because DevGate. It was the day that the whole engineering team handed in the resignation on the exact same day, at the exact same time, and it was so fucking funny. Because it was so sad and so because I remember.
Was it funny or was it sad?
No, it was funny in hindsight. But like they sit us down, or like one have a team meeting with management. I'm like, hey, FIFA. So we're just sitting down there like, yeah, we've lost faith in the company. This, whatever. So and I'm like, so then Nell says, oh, it's pretty bad. And then one of them says, oh, it's gonna get worse. And then I was like, what do you mean it's gonna get worse? And then they all look at each other, and then they all bring out an envelope, letters of resignation. I'm like, oh, but like, who's gonna play FIFA with me? Yeah, well, it was just, it was sad. Anyways,
yeah.
Long story short, we convinced like one of the main guys to stay, which kind of helped. And then we had just hired like 2 interns, and we're like, you guys have 3 months to get like proficient on our infrastructure, because like you are now you're now in charge. So they left, and then I think we let go of maybe 3 other like business development people in that year, 4 other business development people in that year, and then we just downsized, and so we're like, okay, and I just doubled down on a strategy that we decided was going to help us move forward, and then I started building the story for a Series A that was meant to happen in late 2018, and we did successfully do that. But just as I was finished that turnaround, Patrick calls me and he was like, I want to buy you guys. I'm like, yeah, okay. So I was like, I'm not gonna say no. Stripe is cool. So what was your question?
I'm just looking over here, and I think you answered the next 3 to 4 questions. Yeah. So, what was the most exciting part of the acquisition?
The first day when he said to me, we want to buy you. After that, it was just depressing downhill. No, because yeah.
Wait, first of all, did you? Was it like a definite yes as soon as you heard it?
It was a yes if. You get me? It was a yes if, because like we had plans, like because we'd already started looking at offices, like we were designing our new office space in our head. We're going to scale to like 30, 40 people. We're going to do a massive Series A. We're going to be super rich. It was super cool. But then I think we met Patrick Collison like last minute on a Tuesday-ish evening. And on my way back from the meeting, me and Al were in the car just talking. We're like, yeah, we feel that way. That was cool. That was a good meeting. Because we're trying to sell something to them in general. We're trying to do a deal with them with some part of the business that's just up and coming. And we thought, yeah, I think we'll definitely get that business. And then I'm driving, and then Niall says acquisition ? That's all he says. He just says, he says Patrick Collison, acquisition ? And I said, yeah, that'd be fucking amazing. And he says, no.
That was the subject line.
Yeah, it was the subject line of the email.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that would be amazing. Imagine. And then he said, no, for real, check your phone. Well, I'm driving, so I can't. He's like, no, look. And I said, well, then he said, and then I looked at it, I was like, oh, fuck. And I was like, oh my God. And I almost crashed the car. And I said to him, now I need to stop driving right now. But unfortunately, we were in traffic, so I couldn't like park where we were. So I had to just keep going. And I've never seen him so red for so long in my entire life. He called his mom, called his dad, called all our investors. I'm like, well, why'd you do that? So yeah, that was probably the most exciting moment in that, and the subsequent days that followed. So like that was on a Tuesday. On Sunday morning, I was on a flight to San Francisco to like discuss the deal. But like, yeah, that was it. But after that, it was just like hours and hours of like legal
Yeah.
And like, you know, does this document exist? Yes, it does, but I don't know where it is. Okay, check email, check this. It was just like, I was with the accountants, legal. It wasn't depressing. It was just like, it was long and elongated, you know,
Yeah.
paperwork story that lasted like 6 months, but eventually it came to an end.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to open it up to maybe 2 or 3 questions, but my final question to you is, looking back at your journey from where you are now and where you started, all those valleys that you had to go through, was there anything, if there's anyone tuning in who is going through something like right now, given what you've seen in your own experiences, what would you share with them? What would you tell them?
Wow. You're gonna have to give me like 20 seconds to think. Hold on.
Go for it. And people can think of questions if they have any as well.
I think almost all my stories start with Nile and I were, but Nile and I were in Copenhagen, and we were getting on a flight to London.
Sounds like a comic book series.
Yeah, no. So we were in Copenhagen, we're getting on a flight to London, and I was telling him about something I was trying to do at the time, and he was like, "Shut the fuck up." I was like, what you said you've been talking about this for like a year and you haven't done jack shit about it. I was like, yeah, but you know, we're busy. He's like, look, you don't want to do it or you don't. And this is my, I claimed the quote, but it's actually his. But he said, in that moment, he said to me, thinking isn't doing, and doing is all that matters. And that's pretty a pretty big deal, because like you'll spend a very long time just, you know, psyching yourself up. Yeah, okay, I want to do this, but I have to do this first. And then you make perfection the enemy of good, and then you spend a long time doing nothing, doing something but nothing. You know, activity with no progress against a goal that you'll probably never achieve if you don't actually take a real action towards it. So
a real physical action.
Yeah, like move. Yeah, you know. Yeah. Don't sit in your house scheming for too long, doing nothing. You know. So one, thinking isn't doing is all that matters. Two, I think again probably one of the greatest lessons he's ever taught me. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance. You have to know enough to know when you don't know enough. Overcoming the hump of like self-unawareness is very hard. And I feel like I think it was like 2016 before I even like really understood that. And that was like 2 years after knowing him, like him beating that into my head every day.
Then one day it just clicked.
And then one day it just clicked. I was like, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. You're right. But like you need to know when you don't know enough, and just be committed to like to all necessary education to get to the point where you know where to the point of success. And I guess the third thing is probably my favorite one. I gave this speech to a guy we just hired, and I think I'm going to keep using this because it's nice. There's a difference between being committed to the effort and being committed to the result. And a lot of people are like very committed to an effort, so they're trying to achieve a level of like defensibility, so they can say to their friends, "I tried my best." You know, nobody cares if you tried your best. Really, no one cares. At the end of the day, the most valuable people in the world aren't like, you know, people who have like niche skills. You know, I'm a developer, I can do this. Like this is the people who can, you give them a problem and they come back with a solution. And being committed to a result and rather than effort is a huge like fundamental shift in philosophy and everything you do in life, especially at work or if you're trying to do your own startup. It's a big deal.
So what's an example of that? If
it's just basically a lot of problems are very hard to fix. You're gonna like face multiple stumbling blocks. A lot of people will be blocking you, and it's easy to come back to your boss or come back to yourself and say, well, you know, I tried my best, and he was a block. There's nothing I can do about it. You know, what can you do? Well, like being committed to the result is like, he's a block, but there's another way around it. Or let me unblock myself by, you know, let me talk to him. If he says no, what other avenues are there? A prime example of this is actually Bill Gates. Bill Gates is a super cool guy. I've never actually met him, but he's a super cool guy. I was watching his Netflix documentary, and it was just showing his journey for he's trying to eradicate polio, and then it just shows everything that he went through to try and eradicate polio, in Nigeria specifically, and other places, but Nigeria was like the biggest problem state. One of the issues was that they just started polio cases started popping up everywhere, even though they thought that they had gone to every single part of the country that was available, that was like accessible to them. And then he thought about it deeply. He was like, "What's the problem here?" And then he realized that the maps that they were using to navigate the country were drawn up in like 1940, 1950, 1960s, when like the country was basically like, you know, divided by the British and said, okay, go off and do what you want. And these maps weren't accurate. And that's a huge block. Like, so you're basically telling me, in order for me to eradicate polio, I now have to remap all of Nigeria.
Step one.
Fuck that shit, I'm not doing it. You know,
Yeah.
you know. But no, he said, okay, how can we do this? And then he's like, okay, let's look into satellite systems that can take like really high definition photos of Nigeria and see where people are populating. And then he finds out that these points of sporadic polio outbreaks were just along the lines of the border where they had been misdrawn, you know. And then he goes there and then it's an effort. He'd made a good effort, and if he quit at that point, no one can say he didn't try.
Yeah, it's plausible. Yeah.
He had to go redraw the map of Nigeria to solve, and that's completely out of pace to what he's meant to do. Like, you know,
It's like, what did you do today?
But it's not in line with the actual problem. The problem is solve polio, get everything there, you know. But you have to redraw the map of Nigeria that was last drawn like in 1950. You know, on top of that, he's trying to find a way to like this is just another example. He's trying to find a way to get renewable energy and clean energy, but he believes in nuclear energy. But
I saw that. Yeah.
So like when you
But
use
people
like
are against the idea of
exactly But like he right now use enriched plutonium for power plants in America, and it creates a lot of nuclear waste. He's then found a way to like use the nuclear waste to create power. Unfortunately, he can't do it in America. He cut a deal with China to do it, and then but that took him like 3-4 years to get that deal. And after that deal came about, literally 6 to 7 months later, when he was just about to like go off, Trump begins a trade war with China. And then the guy asks him, "What are you going to do now?" I said, "We're just going to lobby the government, I guess, you know." But I'm going to go up against the American government and trying to get the trade war gone. That's a fully blown trade war.
Yeah.
A trade war that has.
Yeah. I mean, even look at that answer. Even I mean,
Yeah,
it's not like, oh well, I guess we tried. You know?
Yeah, it's like there's a difference between being committed to the result and being committed to the effort. And like if you live your whole life being committed to the result, you'll come out way better than you can ever imagine. Because like it's easy to bow out and say, "Look, I tried my best," because it is a good story. Like there are amazing stories that end with, "Well, I did try my best," and everyone's nodding their head saying, "Yeah, I guess so." You know, well, you'll be the side guy in the pub telling the story about how you almost became a millionaire.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
I love it.
So that's probably my top 3.
I literally have like 20 more questions here for you, but I'm conscious of time, so we're just gonna open it up to questions if anybody would like to ask the first one.
Yo.
Do you want to say your name, your company as well?
Oh yeah, so my name's Aoife Smith and my company's Escalate Digital Marketing. So just from listening to you, you mentioned Bill Gates. So is there anyone else who really inspired you and like kept you motivated through all the hard times? And was there anyone that when you started kind of you looked up to them and thought, yeah, I want to be like them someday?
So fortunately, I'm a straight capitalist. So like my day-to-day motivation was, me and Nal would sit down and say, okay, we sold the company for X amount tomorrow. You have X million, I have X million. What we spend our money on? And we sit down. That's our favorite game. We did that every time the day was shit and we're bored or sad, or we just let's play our favorite game. And then we
Yo, we should play that game.
And then I remember they were like, and then we found out that there's a subscription. In fact, we found so many rich world problems in playing this game. Like, because there's no subscription for like I'm going off piece here, but I want to say it anyway. There's no subscription for people who want like have a if you want like a luxury hotel and being able to stay anywhere in the world whenever you want, like like a Spotify for hotels, or like imagine you could get that, yeah, we can't, and then there's the private jet subscription, pay them $2 million a year, you can fly as much as you want, all that kind of. So like, yeah, I'll spend more, just stuff like that. Just keep yourself kind of like, this is the light at the end of the tunnel. Day to day, it was just that. I was just like, look, it's all for a purpose. Unfortunately, Touchtech at the time wasn't my how do I put it? It wasn't the thing I was doing for like a bigger purpose. Like it wasn't like what Stripe is today, where Stripe has like a really impactful vision, which is increasing the GDP of the internet, which has like huge economic impact across like small businesses, big businesses, and like, even if you don't think about, they're trying to make money. Just that vision alone is crazy. We didn't have that for Touchtech. It was just, I'm trying to get paid, But like on day one, Mark Zuckerberg, only because I watched the movie The Social Network, and I saw how ruthless that was. I was like, yeah, I want to be him. So I watched that movie and I was like, yeah, we're doing this right now. And so in the beginning, it was Zucks because of that movie, and then after that, it was like, I kind of want to get rich. So it was money driven to a degree, but like it is what it is. Yeah. I'm sorry. I wish I had like a more like altruistic answer, but I don't. Maybe next time.
Any questions? Any other questions?
Hi, I'm Nubi.
Make sure it's recorded.
Hi, I'm Nubi. Work at Stripe with Shekinah actually. So question for you is, and this is might be a curveball. As a black person, going through those boardrooms, going through those investors meetings and all, how did that go? And did having Nell, who again is more like acceptable or like is white, did that help in any way?
See, God damn. This is going online. How do I answer this? Let me give you a fun little story. No, I can't tell you that story. Sure.
You can say it and then we'll like crop it out. You can change the names. It's cool.
Okay. I believe that the only color that matters in general is green.
That's it.
That's it. No, but I'll explain. Investors care about money. They care about money. Like that's like, how much money can you make me? That's how you are a money making machine. No, because like having sold my company and now thinking, what do I do with the money? I'm like, God damn, the bank's only going to give me 10%. Where can I find a genius like me that can give me like 5x in like 4 years? So it's all about it. Are you smart enough? Do I perceive you to be smart? That's all. Like before I had met Niall, it was me and my other little black co-founder, and he was 18, I was 19. Our idea was a fraud prevention solution that made online payments easier for the general consumer. I met a 74-year-old investor from Newcastle who met me and him in a room full of companies who were actually in a program that we were not in. And he said, I like you guys. This is the kind of thing I want to invest in. I like your energy. I like you guys seem smart. I'm going to give you money on the first day he met us. Not because we're black or white, but because he saw the value in us. And no one else in that whole program got investment that year at all. Like no one, they all bust.
And you guys weren't even in the program.
We weren't even in the program, so it was goddamn, missed the boat there. You see, so there, in those moments like that, where the acquisition of wealth is slightly more liberal than the rest of the world, especially when it's all numbers to a degree. When it comes to like banks and like those kind of rooms, a little bit harder. But I don't think I suffered because I was black. I suffered because I lacked experience, and I was a 19-year-old, 20-year-old kid going into Barclays saying that I will handle all of your, volume. slightly easier for like, when I went to N26 and I said, give it to me, I'll handle all 2 million of your cards. Don't worry about it. Because, they were looking for an agile, fresh startup. I did not encounter a racially influenced no, in my opinion. In my opinion. There are stories, there's one specific story where I may have encountered a racially influenced no that I personally don't agree with, but other people would say different, and I'll tell you after because I can't really see that on camera. But however, it is what it is. I don't think So I remember in 2015 we'd run out of money and we needed to raise more money. We also need to get in the right rooms, and all of that. All the feedback I heard at that time was like, you guys don't have experience. You don't have gray hair. Like you don't have anyone that's old, that's been in this space to back you or give you credibility. So I went to London. I met loads of people, and then I found the former CEO of Commerce Bank Investments. I said, come on board, be like an actual advisor to Touchtech, fly to Dublin, meet investors for me. He did that, and that's what raised the next $500,000 I got. That was the first $500,000 I got after the initial 50,000. And then on top of that, in order to get to all the right rooms in Dublin, I had a general manager at AIB who had been sent to Poland to acquire a bank on their behalf. So like he was a big guy to kind of work as an advisor with us as well. And he also brought in the CFO of AIB to be on my board. So the former CFO of AIB was also on my board, and it wasn't necessarily like whiteness or blackness. It was just expertise, experience, credibility in the space. That's what they cared about the most. There may be, an influence there, but I don't think I countered it, because before I met Niall, I'd raised 50,000 from probably the most racist generation possible, a 74-year-old random millionaire from the Midlands of England. So, but I'll tell you the other story later. When we cut the cameras, I'll tell everybody's story.
Shekinah, thank you so much for joining us today and telling us your story. Thank you to everybody.
Yeah, I think there's a few more questions to go.
Forget that. Let's go with the questions.
All right.
Do we have time, right?
Yeah,
I can keep going.
Yeah,
let's go.
There's a lot of questions.
Hi, Justina, One Point Marketing. Question: what's your daily routine apart from acting as if something happened? You were playing with your guy that you're millionaires, how are you gonna spend money? But what's your other daily routine?
Today or before?
Okay, before and now.
Whew. Wow. Right now, so good question actually. I forgot. So me and Nell, after the acquisition, made a timetable because we're super disorganized and we needed like structure our lives. So we have like a code. Where's my phone? Oh no, it's not here. And I think I can remember off the top of my head. So we have like a timetable together. So at 7 a.m. every day we wake up, go to the gym. After gym, we want to like learn some instruments from like 8 o'clock to like 9 o'clock. We practice our instruments and then shower or whatever, go out. Then in the morning, I work from like 9:30 to like 6, 7, depending on what's going on. Mondays we have like our like business meetings where we talk about all the stuff we want to work on. I don't know why I did that, to be honest. We talk about all the stuff we want to work on, all the startups we're thinking of investing in, all this, what are we going to do next kind of thing. On Tuesdays, it's a free day. Wednesday, we've allocated specifically to dates. So like if one of us eventually encounters a girlfriend, that will be her day. And in the process of getting the girlfriend, that will be the only day you can actually go out and see the girl.
Otherwise, he'd have to ask for approval from
exactly.
the
So
other
because you have to change the calendar.
Yeah.
And then Thursdays, what do we do on Thursday? The mornings are consistent. It's a gym, then the instruments practice. Thursdays we do languages. So we're doing Spanish at the moment, but I'm not doing Spanish right now. I'm doing something else. And then we have game night on Thursday as well. Then you go home, do whatever you want. Friday is allocated to bro dates, but for the past 2 weeks he's ditched me for his girlfriend. And then Saturday mornings are boxing and language, and then we don't like work on the weekends. But then Sunday evenings is when we agree our agenda for our business meetings for Monday. So that's what my routine is like. And then in between all that is like Stripe work.
You do that every week.
Every week.
I love it.
I mean, like we have to like structure our lives, so we thought let's structure it together. Yeah.
Do you not
dates and everything.
do you not get sick of each other when just like spending week after week doing the same thing over and over together?
Bro dates are like different things every week, so, you know. But like, I mean, I saw him every day for like 4 years, 5 years. I still see him every day. In fact, we were this close to living together. That was when we thought maybe this is too much. But like, he's like a 5-minute journey from me, so it makes no difference at this point. I've spent the last 2 days in his house, so you know, yeah, that's my daily routine. Before, however, it was just like 24/7 work. Just 20. It was no 24/7 work. It was like I wake up at like 7 a.m. or something, take a few calls at home, and then I drive into work. And now I didn't have a car, so I'm like, now I wasn't like coming in like super early. So I drive into work, and at lunchtime I'd go back to his house to pick him up, bring him to the office, and then we'd stay in the office till like 11 p.m. Then we'd go home, or depending on, well, during the acquisition we'd be in the office at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., or at the lawyer's office, whatever. But before then it was just it was 24/7, top of mind work. How are we gonna make this work? So that was it really.
And what would you do different? What would you do differently to actually cut this time 24/7? Was there any chance for improvement?
I don't think I'd want to cut it, because people are talking to me about like work-life balance. I'm like, work-life balance? I'm like, work is life. No, but like work was life for me because I had a specific goal, and like my life was that goal. So it wasn't like work, it was just like I was working on my life. That's what it felt like to me. So I didn't really care about like cutting it down or, you know, doing other things specifically. I am in a band, so like, you know, I do that. Those are less, you know, leisurely aspects of my life at that time. But yeah.
All right. Any more questions? I've got one of my own.
Hear me.
All right. So one thing
Go ahead, Emin.
All right. So one thing that Kareem and I spoke about a lot, and like we've noticed other people doing it, is that generally when you're starting off, and although it makes sense, generally when you're starting off, people would tend to go to smaller businesses, you know, starting their business off that way, just getting their business first, and then going to like medium-sized businesses, and going to the larger like enterprises afterwards. But we've noticed that a couple of people actually flip that the other way around, where they started off with like the really, really big names, and then they're like, well, if we have those big names, we'll be able to work our way down and get all, you know, the smaller companies. And obviously it depends on what industry you're in, but let's say for the fintech industry, trust is a really, really big thing there. But in your experience, like, how were you able to start off by doing that rather than the other way around? And does that always work?
I did do I went small to big. So I got big brands, but not big businesses. So Revolut, 1026, TransferWise, huge brands. Everybody in banking knows them. But like they don't have the same level of risk liabilities that Barclays has and Lloyds has. So they're easier to sell to.
But starting off as a large brand, like I sort of use the word large brand and large company as like interchangeably, but if a startup is coming to them and they're small in size, other than the size of them, it's the risk involved.
N26 is like, they were a small company. They were like 200 people at the time.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was 200 people, but like huge valuation. So like I was leveraging a brand with
a growing brand.
It was exactly, a growing brand, like very, very respected brand within the industry. Because like everyone's like, I want to be like N26, and every time I walk into any room, I think the global chief marketing officer of Citibank called us when they found out we were with N26, flew to Dublin from New York with a team, and sat down and said, I want to know everything N26 is doing. Yeah, cut that out. So like that they're super respected. So like we went after the big brands that had like notoriety in the market space. But like it's hard to get the big guys up front. Some people can. It depends on the kind of business you're doing. But like it's difficult. It's difficult. You have to small fish catch medium fish catch big fish, and that's the philosophy we went after.
Cool.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Edward.
Shekinah, thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you to everybody tuning in, and we're going to see you in the next episode of The Warm Intro. Mostafa.